Ciao, I'm Roopal Patel, Senior Vice President, Fashion Director for Saks, and we are here in Milan during Milan Fashion Week, and I'm really excited. We've got a special surprise. Come with me. We're at DoubleJ, and we are here to meet JJ Martin.
Ciao, cara. Everybody, come on inside. Come on inside.
Come on in.
Ciao.
Ciao, cara.
Hi, everybody. Come on in.
This is amazing. This is your flagship store.
Our first and only, and we're so happy to have you here, baby.
What a jewel box of a store, but this isn't the only part. There's a special space.
So this is all of our regular, wonderful printed merchandise that is designated and designed to raise your vibration. But the real spiritual center of this store is downstairs where Roopal and I are going to take you right now. So come along, Saks, and all of you guys at home. Ciao.
This is such a treat. I can't wait to see.
Yay.
Oh, look at this. What a magical store this is.
So we start here with the Tree of Life, and already you've got a split between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And these are images that have been designed by a Romanian artist that I found on Instagram who I just got immediately attracted to her artwork. It's so beautiful and mystical. And she did all of these special commissioned artworks for us.
So where are we going, JJ? Where's this secret labyrinth of a staircase taking us?
We are going down into the sacred grotta of the store. And this is like almost like a birth canal. You're coming down into this wonderful little tunnel. And there's all of this mystical symbols.
Look at all of this is beautiful upside down dragonflies, mythical fires, my favorite.
You've got snakes, you've got boob vases, you've got little yawnies running around.
This is my favorite. It's a dragon unicorn boat. How beautiful with wings and a castle.
Totally.
This is unbelievable.
Now, as we enter into the grotta, you're being greeted by some spirit animals. We've got a unicorn, we've got peacocks here, and then as we come in here, this is our special bat cave, and it is dedicated to the Divine Mother. Now, there are 5 archetypes here of the Divine Mother. You've got them from lots of different wisdom traditions.
Okay.
So you've got Isis from ancient Egypt. She is ancient Egyptian mystery school, Isis.
Wow.
Kuan Yin behind the radio tower here.
Kuan Yin spoke to me when I first came down here.
I remember.
Truly, and we've talked about Kuan Yin. Tell us the importance of Kuan Yin.
So Kuan Yin each of these archetypes of the Divine Mother represents different aspects of that energetic. Mm-hmm. And Kuan Yin is infinite compassion. She's unconditional love. Very similar to Mother Mary, who we also have here. I would say Mother Mary is a little bit more on the forgiveness and mercy side of things. And I love this particular representation of Mother Mary because she is presented as a badass. She has, knives going into her, tears going down her face. Her heart is wide open in her hands. She's got the power of the flames and the crocodiles, and she is protected.
It's beautiful. Even all of the details under her cloak. If you look at the serpents and the lilies and the apple and there's so much work and so much detail and imagery and symbolism.
And then we have Kali, who is a Divine Mother aspect that a lot of people shy away from. She's a little bit more frightening because Kali is actually the goddess of destruction, but she's also creator energy. So a lot of people are frightened of this. This is the Kali energy is like the flames, the fire, the rage. It'll bring that energy of anger to the forefront, but it's also reminding us, what can we do with that fire in our bellies, right? How do we channel that for good? How do we channel that to make change? And it's not just about destroying things, although sometimes in your life there are moments when you do need to raise the field and start from scratch. So Kali reminds us what needs to die in our life. Those can be thoughts, those can be limiting beliefs, those can be old relationships that no longer serve you. It's not that people need to die, but the relationship or the energetic attachment can die. But more than anything, I really relate to Kali because she has that life force, and it's that will to sort of get back up and create something new once things have been burned down.
Well, Kali then is really misunderstood because I always, in Hindu culture, grew up thinking that Kali was this dark force that you stood away from. And so now this is really about rebirth.
It really is.
It is about endings and beginnings.
It's endings and beginnings. So we always have to remember that. Like when we're talking about our spiritual practices, it's a constant flow of these rhythms and cycles, right? Like there's always a unpeeling of new layers.
Yes.
And we're going through these micro births and micro deaths in our lives all day long, all week long. As women, we go through them, or we were, most women are going through them with their menstrual cycles every month. There's a process of shedding what no longer serves, and then becoming fertile again to give life, and then shedding again.
Yes.
And then we do the same thing with the earth, with the 365 days and the different seasons that come in.
I've never thought about my period that way, but now that you explain it that way, it actually is quite beautiful of being able to cleanse and begin anew, shall we say?
Totally.
But I'm intrigued by the other
characters,
by the other figures in the room. Tell me, who is this?
This is Archangel Haniel, and she is the Archangel of clairvoyance. So again, when we're talking about intuition, when we're talking about going inwards, like turning the brain off and using that built-in intelligence system that we all have, that can be found in the third eye. It can be found in the heart, and in women, it can be found in the womb.
It's really beautiful. If you were standing here, just the vibration of the space and the harmony, like I'm like a kid in a candy store. I want to touch and feel, and what you've created is beautiful. I feel it, truly.
This is green Tara.
You want to touch and connect with every single fruit. Look, I mean, I can't, if you can see like the dragonflies and then the eyes within the lotus flowers to the tigers. I mean, it's just incredible. It's a magical world.
Out of the little flower.
Beautiful.
Well, and this is so much creation energy. Tara there's so many different iterations of Tara, as you know. But for me, green Tara just represents so much abundance and so much fertility. And again, for women, that can manifest in so many different ways. It's not just having children. Your career can be a fertile enterprise. You can be giving birth to books and manuscripts and dinner parties and friendships. There's so many. It's just living a fertile life is one in which you are filled with abundance.
That's beautiful, to be that world of abundance. Just comes fertility, birthing, creating. Like you can create the abundance in your life.
Absolutely. And this was a big learning lesson for me. It was a big part of why I even got started on my spiritual practice, because I was having trouble conceiving children. So it was so interesting that then that gave birth to my spiritual practice, and then it gave birth to my company, and then it gave birth to this entire cave.
Which is magical. We're here. I'm so honored and humbled to be in this space, the sacred grota. And just like, it's quite powerful. And just sitting here and you walking us through right now, explaining to us and sharing with us that we're in the womb, right? That we're in this space with these incredible feminine deities and energies that are always here. They're night and day here, 365 days a year. These powerful female forces like yourself. What does it mean, the divine feminine? Like, we're surrounded by all this divine feminine energy right now. But what is the divine feminine energy? And what is the divine masculine energy? Because I don't know if I'm even clear about it.
It's a really interesting topic. So the first thing that you need to understand is that this has nothing to do with gender. So we are talking about energy. And there's different polarities of energy. You know, most people have heard of a yin and a yang force. The yin, for example, is very feminine. The yang is very masculine. So we're talking about different qualities of energy. And most human beings possess both. And each person has their own sort of combination of that energetic. And not only that, like I am a heterosexual woman who happens to have a lot of masculine energy.
Me too. I've been told.
And then on top of that, not only can you have a certain, like you might have a different quantity between masculine and feminine, but then within that energetic, there are distorted masculine traits, and then there's divine traits. Okay? So what we're talking about here is between the feminine and masculine. Basically, the easiest way to explain this is the feminine is all about stillness and receptivity. So the feminine receives, the masculine gives, the feminine is still, the masculine is very active. So think of it as the masculine is like a race car zooming ahead.
Like a Ferrari.
And exactly like a Ferrari going this way. And the feminine, when it does move, it is not moving in a straight line. The masculine is all about rigor and logic and order and structure. It will build things. The feminine is a lot of circular energy. When it does move, it's usually in circles. Think of the galaxies.
Yes.
Think of the way cells form, etc. So it's not, the masculine is all about logic. The feminine is all about intuition and feeling. So the parts of you that rely on logic or reasoning or thinking your way through problems or doing all day, all of that would be a masculine energetic. Whereas a feminine energetic would be, I am going to lay back, receive, and feel. The feeling state is a feminine energetic, and most of us
Are feeling.
like it.
Well, no, I was going to say though, because it's interesting when you explain it because it's very clear. I get it. Like, okay. But I think like sometimes like I can be my masculine, my career is super masculine as you are. But then I'm a very emotional person. Must be very emotional. So the feminine. So then what happens when they both get into the same space or the same party together?
It's a really good point.
That's a bit.
Okay, so what happens to most people is that a distorted masculine will come and judge what's going on. So there are very healthy forms of masculine. So let's go through what those are because it's really important. Lots of times the masculine gets banged up in our spiritual circles these days because there's so much distortion that we see with patriarchal values that are all about squishing people and the hierarchy and the all-powerful person on the top. That's distorted masculine. The healthy masculine, the divine masculine, wants to protect the feminine. Okay? But a distorted masculine, when the feminine is doing its thing, which is feeling and having an honest experience, which it needs to do to process emotions properly, a healthy masculine will come in and provide a safe space for that.
Yes. No, that makes.
Now, an unhealthy masculine will come in and bang you on the head and say, oh my God, you're being ridiculous. Oh my God, you shouldn't, you're such a wimp. Oh my God, get your act together. You've been crying for 3 days. You can't cry again. Like all of that, like language and that narrative. So the distorted masculine is the part of ourselves or other people or other situations that we see. Because these energies, they live within us, they live within other people, they live in situations, they live in words, they live in books, they live in movies, they live in everything. But the ones that I have found that are the most harmful of the masculine are criticism, judgment, and punishment. those are masculine energetic traits, but they are distorted masculine. So when we're talking about the divine masculine,
Right.
we're talking about how can you use your clarity of voice? Because clarity, being clear, is an absolute masculine trait. Okay, so how can you use your clarity? How can you use your speaking of your truth? Another masculine trait. But how do you do it in a way where you don't judge, criticize, punish, or harm someone? Violence is a masculine energetic, but that's severely distorted. This is the dance. This is the dance. So you were asking, how can they work together, right? So let's just say you have a problem with someone. I don't know, anything from they cut you off to someone has done a serious injustice to you. So the whole point is your emotions will come over you, and that is an intelligence system, and that is a very deep intelligence system that is being governed by a feminine energetic, and it needs to be honored, and it needs to be respected and listened to.
Right.
So that listening is a feminine energetic,
Yes.
right? Once you've listened to that, once you've felt it, once you've gotten down into what your real value system is and what your truth is, then it's time to come up and to be shown. Like the feminine tends to withdraw, the masculine tends to move forward
Of
and
course.
lean in, as the famous book said.
Well, leaning in is very important.
Masculine.
It's masculine, but it's interesting because so many of us, and just for everyone at home, because we're all feminine, right? We're all female. I think the part that in the last 20 years, not even, let's say the last 70 years, these trailblazers who have been within male-dominated societies, and then it's almost the identity of taking on the divine masculine within our day-to-day life, embracing that within the corporate world or within our careers or within how we need to identify when we're in a boardroom. And I'm curious, because you've had many different journeys along your career to create this incredible space and this incredible company. And we'll talk about how you balance that within a workplace and within your corporate structure here. But how did you find your way within that divine masculine, that divine feminine within your journey? Because I remember you in your Harper's Bazaar days in a very corporate company. So I'm curious, like now with this knowledge.
So I've had many different waves of trying to receive this feminine. I grew up in a highly masculine environment, and my mom had a lot of masculine energy. She was going nonstop. She never stopped. She never felt. She wasn't one that wanted to like connect to herself or her feelings. I had two older brothers. No one was like artistic and inward thinking. Everyone was like out conquering the world and being athletes and all of this. So all of that is a lot of masculine energy. When I got into the fashion industry, I was, I think, compensating for that lack of feminine energy that I needed on the inside by moving into an industry that felt feminine. But truly what that is, the clothes, I mean, yes, there's aspects of beauty and color, etc., that do tap into the feminine energetic, but like at the end of the day, this is an energetic quality that we're trying to cultivate on the inside of ourselves. So when I first started working with the big magazines at Hearst, and then even spent 6 months inside Gucci, and I spent
I don't even think I knew that. I didn't know that.
At Calvin Klein.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, that was like a
Did I
something
know that? Maybe.
Probably want to forget.
Eh.
But all of those company cultures, there was a lot of distorted masculine. There was a lot of competition. There was a lot of aggression. There was a lot of ordering around, bossing, a lot of fear-based action. So a lot of that is distorted masculine. And it was really interesting because you had a lot of women taking on that guise and that energetic personality
Yes.
that had actually been created over the last 100 years by men in the workplace. And so women first they put on pantsuits, and then they, now we wear this to work. But in any
Which is
case,
great.
we're still sort of wearing that suit of that very aggressive way of doing business because it feels like the feminine energetic, which is much softer, much more gentle, much more trusting, much more listening, much more collaborative. All of those are feminine energetics. Sometimes in our culture, it doesn't feel safe because we haven't been taught that that will work.
No, it's true. But that's like the part of, we're taught that it doesn't work, but then there is something within the career, the ambition that overtakes and the drive, where you're kind of like, where is this coming from, right? Like, look at what we just talked about earlier. Like, how did this come into fruition? The drive kicks in, and we all think it's just a drive, but that masculine is something very important that I think a lot of us struggle with identifying that ambition or that drive.
So that drive is the spark of life. So that is a beautiful flame that you have inside of you. And when we think about the
I was just
divine
going to say
mothers,
there was a flame of life somewhere here.
We're going back to Kali. We're going back to creator energy. Okay, so she is really, of all of the divine mother archetypes, she's the one that has the power of, she's got a lot of masculine energy in her divine mother, but she's the mother because she is giving birth. And we know that when you give birth, all of you women out there who have given birth, that is not a walk in the park. There is a massive amount of energy that produces that, creates that, and allows it to come through you. And you're not just laying back in ease and grace. You are in the grip of it. So, when we talk about that mother, she does have that capacity, and it's something that needs to be honored. It's something that needs to be used wisely. Right? So you don't want the fire to consume you with the competition and the ambition so that that's all you see. You really want this to be something that you have a balance. You have an ebb and a flow. You have these moments where you're very busy and you're very creative and you're giving a lot. And then you have moments of deep silence and you have moments of deep rest.
I have that. It's important. It's very important to have stillness. But you saying that now, when I came in here, I was like, JJ, ciao, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm taking a nap. So that is a great example of taking stillness. It's Fashion Week. You have your presentation coming up. Saks comes in. There's a lot going on. And you're like, I just need to find my center in this beautiful space. But, it's also the responsibility when we talk about you being this. I love coming to talk to JJ because I feel like I learned so much in the hour or two that I'm with you. And you being the founder and the creator of the DoubleJ and doing your spiritual work that resulted in the creation of this company, there is a responsibility on the culture, right? And how you bring the balance into your everyday. And it's wonderful because you have such an incredible team and such an eclectic team, many who I've had the pleasure to meet and work with. Ciao. But how do you take some of these practices that you live by the way, on a daily basis, and how do you infuse them into your collective community that you're building together on a day-to-day basis?
So we've been doing a lot of different things. I mean, first of all, it is so important that I found that you can't just talk the talk. It's very easy for me to get up here and explain to you what the difference of masculine and feminine energy is. And then I need to walk the walk. So as someone that was used to just powering through my entire day and just like slicing through macheting through my to-do list and just like, oh, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. I mean, first of all, I had to start just bringing awareness into how I was acting and reacting every day in the office. Okay. And a lot of that is just bringing awareness. The more that you learn about this, the more that you're like in the middle of your conversation where you're not listening to someone, you have taken on a distorted masculine.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Where you refuse to listen. This still happens to me because I've got so much energy that comes out of me naturally. It's natural for it to just kind of, spurt forth, right? And that's fine. And it can be good and it can be healthy. But then there needs to be moments in which I am then taking in what's coming from the outside. And for people that have a lot of masculine energy and women who run businesses, it is not easy for them to do that. It's not easy because it puts you in a place of vulnerability. And that's what the feminine energy often feels like, you guys. It's an opening. When you are receiving, you are vulnerable. Okay, so sometimes you're going to get love when you're open, and sometimes you're going to get a whole bucket of pain when you're open. That's why people close. That's why they lock up their heart and they put the whole armor there, which is a masculine protection, but not a healthy one for you, right?
Yes.
So there's other ways to do this where, okay, in my life, as the boss of my life or as the boss of my company, there are ways in which I know that like I want to stay open and I want to stay receptive, but then I have to start bringing in, as I said, protection, confines. There's going to be, I will listen and then I will tell the person when I'm done. Like I'm just not going to let I'm not going to just let the river keep going on me, So setting expectations, setting timelines, talking about, whether it's budgets or whether it's like the programs or whatever it is. There's many different things that I've done like in the work world of trying to blend these things together.
And then, which I think is so important. It sounds like the part that I like is that what you said to begin with, awareness. Having awareness and being open to where not those boundaries are, but really being able to identify them and being open.
Speak up. Speaking up is the masculine, okay? But you don't need to scream because that would be distorted. So you can speak up in a kind way. And that's a way where you've just blended because kindness, gentleness, mercy, compassion, all of that is from the feminine. So this is the magic sandwich that you're hoping to make.
That's the magic sandwich is key. And so much has changed since the pandemic and life on screen. And now we're all coming back into being together. So it's relearning. It's such a great time to experiment energy together. Wow, there's so much to take in here.
We're here. We are present.
So I think one thing I'm always very curious about, I always love your JJ tools, right? I love a JJ tool. Who doesn't love a JJ spiritual tool?
I put on lipstick today. That was a spiritual tool.
It is a spiritual tool. It gives you joy. It makes you feel.
I put on this print today, which was also a spiritual tool.
But for every day, like
yeah,
some days if I'm, and I know when I'm like on super like my divine masculine, I'm very like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta crank this out. I'm super alpha, very vocal. Like never have had an issue with that. But someone's like, tap into your feminine. Like, how do you tap into your feminine? Do you bake a cake?
No.
Do you bake a cake? You could, but is it baking a cake? Is it taking a bath? Tap into your masculine. Do I need to go shoot some hoops? Get into the what do I need to do? And I think what I love, the Spirit Tickle. There's a newsletter called the Spirit Tickle. So I don't know, like, what is that spirit tickle wisdom of tapping in?
Well, the first thing that you need to know is that when you're tapping into the feminine energy, you are going into a deeper level of consciousness. Okay. You're going into the channels that hook up to your spirit, to your energy body, to your higher levels of consciousness. You're going into your intuition, and you're doing all of this using your feeling centers of the body. So it's not using the thinking, the traditional brain activity. There's a lot of good stuff happening in your brain that helps all of this feeling stuff happen. But when we talk about the feminine, what we're really talking about is getting in touch with your own sensory experience. Okay? So on the one hand, you can go and get an energy healing, do some Reiki, do yin yoga. You can have a shamanic experience. Like there's all of those sort of like high level spiritual activations that you can do. But the interesting thing is that there are many things that you can do just during your regular 24-hour day, sleeping in your regular apartment, that help you tap into this feminine energetic. And number one is giving yourself time and space and dignity and respect to feel and have your own true, authentic experience. So that means when anger comes up, when frustration comes up, when sadness comes up, when whatever comes up, when happiness comes up, it is a moment not to just run away, hide, or start screaming at someone. This is the moment for you to go inward and be with yourself. And listen to that experience. So the minute that you start doing that with your like this up and down of your emotional states all day long, because we get triggered all day long. The minute that you start doing that, you are tapping in to the feminine. So that's like a super easy thing. And
So
here we go.
So just to
So all right. So I'll tell you what I do. You want to hear what I do?
Yeah, that's like the best.
I take a time out at work and I go into the bathroom. I sit on the stall by myself. I close my eyes and I breathe very, very slow for 5 in and out breaths. And I take it in through the third eye and I take the breath all the way down inside my body and I do a body scan.
So wait, if we're sitting here like this, we're on the stall in the bathroom.
You're on the stall.
Okay.
Exactly. So you're just going to take really, really deep breaths in through the nose and then out through the mouth. You're going to keep going, and I'm going to explain to you. You're going to take your breath through your nose, but you're going to breathe it in through your third eye. Fill your entire third eye with this breath that feels like calm, clean, golden light. And then your exhale is going to breathe all of that clean, clear energy straight down your vertebrae. So you're taking it down your throat, past your heart, down your belly. And as you're doing this, you are creating a river of purification for your energy. And once you've allowed this to happen, you are permitting all of your thoughts to just tumble down to the bottom of your head, almost as if they were a snow globe.
I feel lightheaded. Nary.
Exactly. And once you've got that going on, you can start tapping into whatever has triggered you. So once you're in this more protected state and the mind is not bullying you any longer, then you can start understanding, well, what exactly is it that I'm feeling and where is it in the body? So maybe it's anger, okay? So what I do is I will say, this is anger. And then I ask myself, where is it physically in my body? Is it in my belly? Is it in my kneecaps? Is it in my shoulders, behind my eyeballs? And you start identifying where that emotion is actually living. Then you can thank the emotion for showing up. And the most important thing that you do is you allow, I allow my anger to be present.
So you give it permission.
You give it permission to be there, and you stay breathing with the anger and using that breath. You can even make anger as big as the room, as big as the city of Los Angeles, as big as the earth, as big as the galaxy. Let it become as big as it wants without hurting anyone. And just let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. And when it's done, it's going to shrink back down.
I love this. Oh, wow. I feel
because she's a feeler, and so she thinks she's got a lot of masculine energy, which she does have, because otherwise she wouldn't be able to run her business the way she does at Saks. But at the same time, you are deeply connected energetically and spiritually, and the way you do that is through the feminine energetic.
No, absolutely. But that's the part where to be this, we're friends, you know me so well. To be vulnerable with you in this space and to share this that's the other part of the journey, right? Teaching, learning, sharing.
And that is a feminine thing. So we are going away. So this little like ziggurat is the patriarchy. Okay, that's what we're moving away from, of like a guru or, one figurehead and everyone is like looking up subserviently like here. We are moving from this to a circle. That's what we mean by when we figure, in a figurative way, say we're moving from a patriarchy to a matriarchy. Matriarchal values, let's say. I don't want to get like into the specifics of this, because it's more symbolic than it is literal. But what we're moving away from is having a dictator of your life or your emotions or your spiritual group or even your business. And we're moving into circles of communities. It's a collective, because we are all part of the one. And when we go back and we take a big zoom back on what it means to have a spiritual practice, it's about each one of us tapping in to the divine spark within us that unifies with the divine spark of the universe. Call it whatever you want to call it, but we all belong to it. And then we start feeling our oneness. We don't feel our separateness. We don't say, you are against me, or you belong in this country and you can't come in this one, or whatever. We're all part of
We're all together.
We're all together. And it starts, and I know that may sound slightly, naive, but when you really start tapping into this work, you start realizing like all of these like rules that we've got and all of these like weird things that our society has created. It's the antithesis of what our soul and our heart actually wants, which is unity. We want connection with other people.
Of course.
Deeply.
Well, that might have to be a topic for the next one. That, I think, could be it.
I think Lara's going to take a note on that.
Lara's going to...
But wait,
but I think wait.
Let me just see if there was any other tool.
Because I think doing the meditation was pretty, like, that's amazing.
It was powerful.
I think for everyone.
And I think this is such an important topic.
One, then we can get into
being vulnerable on screen is really.
We can get into Egypt.
Okay, I want to talk. Oh wait, should I have to talk about that? But I want to just talk about a couple other tools for feminine.
Yeah, a few tools for feminine, and I would say
invitation, surrender,
and then
I think we.
I'm just like the time.
No,
Yeah,
I'm thinking. I'm thinking. No, I'm thinking too, because just the compact of.
There's so much juicier.
Right. Okay.
The next one as well, but I think that's perfect. A little bit of divine masculine, divine feminine, Egypt.
I want to give you 2 more tips on divine feminine, then we'll move into divine masculine.
Okay. So JJ, I feel like I'm clear and ready for Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week. I may come back to you on Sunday before I leave for Paris for another session. But
Come on over.
like what else? Like what else? Because I think like we're all going through our days, and it's like I get overwhelmed quite a bit. So it's like, what else can one do to like chill out?
So it depends on if you need to cultivate the feminine. People like us who have a lot of masculine, we do need to cultivate the feminine. So, for example, I was someone who my whole life was running. I jogged religiously. I did Ashtanga yoga religiously. If you're that kind of person, I'm not saying give that up. What I'm saying is you also need to practice exercise that is much gentler, much softer, much slower. So we're talking yin yoga, we're talking restorative yoga, we're talking float tanks.
Yes.
You want to do the opposite. Now, if you're someone who's already, super happy to lie on the couch in your meditation, you might need to get your fire going with the masculine and start jogging. You might need to start lifting weights. Okay, so it really depends on where you are. But another thing that I think is so important, and this is something that we don't see very often in our culture, especially in America, where we're taught never to give up. We're taught to just like go, go, go. The divine feminine, not only does she receive, but she also surrenders. And this is so important because it's very hard for us as Americans to ever admit we're wrong, to ever accept failure. The divine feminine will surrender. And she will do it with an open heart. She will not do it with resentment.
Yes.
She will not do it with payback, punishment. So think about ways in your life where you can surrender. Is it an argument? Is it a business deal? Is it a fight with your older brother you've had for 25 years, a grudge, like a chip on your shoulder? There's just but now let's be careful because there are many people, and both men and women, who do the opposite. They're always giving to others. They're always giving other people the benefit of the doubt. They're always accommodating others. So if you're that kind of person, you need to work more on the divine masculine, which is saying no. And it's so funny because a lot of people that are missing this divine masculine, they feel that by saying no, they are going to cut a relationship or they're going to, do something harmful. But what you need to realize is that you can say no with a big smile on your face. You can say no with an apple pie attached.
It's true. It's true.
So
there's a nice way to say no.
There's nice ways to do it.
But it's funny because I think that, first of all, I think you have to write a book on this because I think it's like the divine masculine, divine feminine handbook because there's so many intricacies and tools for our everyday. But in going back to what you said earlier of surrendering is it sounds like such a defeat. Like I surrendered.
I know.
I surrendered. It's like I lost, I gave up. Surrender is just like letting it be. But it's interesting because I personally in the last 3 weeks have had something in my head situation. And it was my divine masculine in that space. And finally when I was like, I just need to let this go. Like I surrender, I just surrender this, I'm out, it's too much energy. And my feminine almost came in and was like, let's just let this go right now.
And how did it work out for you?
And it's nice, it's liberating just to be like, yeah. But the fight between them, the masculine and feminine was interesting. Because the masculine wanted to keep going a little bit longer.
Exactly. So let's remember oftentimes our ego, when it's out of alignment, a healthy ego is healthy and good. But when your ego wants to control things and won't give up, etc., it's moving into the distorted territory. So when you finally surrender and you say and your ego lets go, that's when the magic of the universe can sweep in. Mm-hmm. Because it's no longer you and your puny human brain trying to call the shots. And you're allowing something bigger to come in. Now, I can already hear the arguments on the other side. Oh, well, you're going to get taken advantage of and da-da-da-da. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about all those of you who never want to give up, okay? So you need to understand what kind of person you are. Do you already possess a lot of masculine energy and you never like to be wrong and you never like to give up? then you need to practice this. And if on the other hand, you're someone who's always appeasing people and always agreeable, then you need to be someone who comes in and actually starts taking a stand and saying no and having your opinion heard.
Absolutely. I think these we need to put this on, we need
So on our spirit tickle, we've got these whole lists, and there's actually more things that you can actually practice, wait for an invitation to speak. If you have a lot of a masculine, next time, if you have a lot of masculine like me, go to a dinner party and don't talk until someone asks you a question. It's challenging.
I've tried to do that too.
It's weird.
No, it's really weird, but it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson.
Stay quiet.
So thank you for that. I hope, I don't know about all of you, but I feel like I have so many more tools walking out of here than I did when I came in, and I'm actually going to use them. So I'll come back to you and tell you how they worked out these next few weeks.
Great.
But now it's also amazing because in the divine feminine, divine masculine, we're sitting here looking at Isis, the divine mother.
Baby. I love her.
She's so beautiful.
She's the best.
You've also taken the energy and vibrations of the sacred grotto on these retreats that you've started to take all over the world, may I say. Yeah. And the reason Isis came up is because I believe you're going to Egypt next month. And Isis is connected to this.
Indeed she is.
I mean, these retreats and these journeys are something I see you doing you do.
I mean, if I could just retire from my job and just go on retreats all year round, that would be the dream. But we do have a company to run. But I'm lucky enough that I am able to both participate in and host retreats. And I'm co-hosting one in Egypt with a wonderful woman called Dee Kennedy, who is Irish, but has been leading spiritual journeys in Egypt for the last 16 years.
Wow.
So she's a trained high priestess. And that means that when she goes to Egypt and she takes these journeys there, you do a lot more than just sightsee. I mean, you're going into each temple with a very clear understanding of what all the gods and goddesses, the meaning of the site, all the energetic codes that are implanted there, both physically in the hieroglyphs as well as energetically, you're tapping into, and you're being guided into how to access that.
It's amazing.
So it's really fascinating because it's a mix of some of it is history. There's an Egyptologist on board. We're going to be sailing for part of this, and for most of this, we're sailing. And there's an Egyptologist who's there to kind of give you all of the history. And that would be very masculine energy, very academic. So that would be the masculine side.
Right.
And then Dee comes in and she gives you the feminine energetic of everything that you're going to be accessing in your subconscious, in your unconscious, in your etheric body, in your astral body, all of the different levels of your energy body, and ways that you can tap in. And a lot of this is learning about the stories of the ancient Egyptian mystery school, but also the techniques that they used.
Wow.
And we do everything from qigong to breath work to organ cleansing and meditating
inside the temple.
Temples. Yeah.
That must be very powerful. The vibration alone of just being in the temple, all of you as a collective, and then...
Well, and let's be honest, I think we talked about this last time. There's lots of different kinds of meditation. So some people just are meditating on a mantra and they're emptying their mind, and that's for them a meditation. I do different forms of meditation. When I'm meditating, I'm clearing the mind, but then I'm activating my energy chakras and specifically the heart center and activating my energy body. And once I start doing that, I can use my tools that I have learned through this spiritual practice of breath, sound, light language, but also just using the power, moving the energy of the heart and connecting it to the physical site that we are in Egypt, but also Gaia beneath our feet and into the universe. So there's lots of different kinds of meditations that you can do. And the meditations that we do in Egypt are all about tapping into that invisible force that's there.
It sounds extraordinary. And I always think these retreats, you always go with this perceived mindset, and then you come back with such a different knowledge and experience of yourself and appreciation and gratitude for the lessons that came with it. Is the retreat full, or is there still space?
You know that actually we just had, unfortunately, 2 women that had problems. One had a very sick person in their family, so they're not able to come, and another person had a work thing that came up. And so we now have, there's 15 places on the retreat, and we now have 2 openings. So if you're interested, you just write me on Instagram.
Okay.
It's an amazing trip because this one it's October 15th to the 26th. And what's incredible is that each temple that we visit has been rented out for private use. So usually when you go to Egypt, you're not allowed to do any meditations or any group circles or any spiritual work. So they're a Muslim country and they're quite strict about what their rules are there. But when you rent out the temples, you're allowed to sort of use it in whatever way that, you know, that is respectful for the we're not going to graffiti or anything like that. But
of course you want it
that's
to
amazing.
be. Well, if anyone, I mean, I wish I could come. I think I'm
I'm
still going to be on the fashion marathon, but you keep me posted on the next one, and I'm there because I think there's so much in that work that I would benefit from. But if you are interested there are 2 more spots, please reach out to JJ on her DM on Instagram, or let us know via Saks Live, and we would be happy to connect you. Wow, there's so much spinning in my head right now.
Yeah, you know, Rupi, I mean, I think that one thing that we didn't touch on that I love is just, you know, how fashion plays into this.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I was. It's so funny because I think like I was, you know, upstairs trying on this amazing. Can I just show you? Like,
How cute is this outfit?
how cute is it?
She looks
And
so
it
great.
was so interesting because Gaia was walking me through, and she's like, "Oh, you should try this on." And I said, "Oh, like that's a lot of print. Like that's not me, you know." And she was like, "Well, you could just try something on, and you might be surprised." And sure enough, I tried it on. I was like, woo! Like, okay, I'm a whole new person. I love this.
You're like, it's not a print, it's a brocade.
I'll
take it.
But I think that's something interesting. We think about we talked about this, and we talked a little bit when we were in Montauk together. Well, we were in Montauk, and now we're in Milan. But when we talked about it, the vibration of that clothing has and the energy. And I'm looking here, it's orange, it's pink, it's got feathers, it's brocade, and I'm really festive and happy and like, okay, like let's go.
So that joy is truly a feminine energetic. I mean, it's love. Whenever you're tapping into something that you just love so deeply and is giving you that spring in your step, you are raising your vibration. You've got the higher consciousness going. And we've also talked about this. It's not all about that in your life. Obviously, that's one part of your whole pie. But when you're really indulging in your love for something, in your love for color, in your love for flowers, I mean, this is also the prints. Many of them are connected to nature.
They are, but what I was also going to say, and I think because you're in it so much and you see it all the time and you created it, it's something that it's just part of you, right? But when I come in and I've known the collection since you launched it, but when I come in now and I see the manifestation of the Sacred Grotto, and I see the store that you created and launched probably about 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago. And I see here in some of the beautiful paintings around that there are birds, there are flowers, you know, there's all the colors of orange and green and, you know, pink, and it's here in this room, and then how it translates to the clothing. There's a beautiful connection of the world of the DoubleJ that I think its signature, the vibration leads from something bigger. So it's not that you're going and you're saying, oh, what's the trend this season? Hey, like what are we
No.
It really has, and I definitely, if you're in Milan, please come check this space out. It's fascinating, you know, but to be able to see it manifest within the collection, the clothing, I think it's very clothes, yes, and but I think it's interesting in your clothes in particular, because I think the energy is from something bigger. I don't know if you all are having goddess circles like right before the design process. I don't know.
A little bit.
I was gonna say if there's something going on, a full
not
moon.
only this, but guys, remember,
I knew it. I knew it.
Everything is made in Italy by people that took an hour off at lunch, had not more than an 8-hour workday, got 6 weeks for vacation, and are treated very well. Do not underestimate the power of where and how your clothes are made. It's really important.
No, it's true.
And you have to do a little digging to find out how and where your clothes are made. But a lot of things that are, being made by slave labor around the world or just really bad conditions, they're going to carry that energetic imprint.
No, I feel it, but I mean, the whole experience of, I think it's a testament to you and the team and the company. And it's bigger. It's not just, oh, here's a great look. It's
not just.
I think
it's the whole package.
I think it's something that really comes together. So I feel it, I see it, and I think we're just so happy to be here with you. I know you've got a presentation this week, and it's Milan Fashion Week. So I'm going to let you get to what you do best.
I'm just so honored to have Roopal and Saks in our store in Milan. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys can make it here. And if you can't, you're going to just shop at Saks.
Yes, and the collection is on Saks Live, so really nice to see everyone. We've got one more of these series coming up, so stay tuned. But until then, we wish you tanti baci.
Tanti baci, tanti
De
auguri.
Milano.
Ciao ragazzi.
Ciao.
Grazie.